Is there a point to the housing market? Obviously, we are in unprecedented times economically. However, I can't see a positive outlook on economic life for the next 30 years when it comes to home buying and the American dream. It seems like we are just heading towards the own nothing and be happy stage of capitalism where everyone just rents, leases, subscribes. And we are a land of landlords. Maybe I buy a house in the couple years. But I just look at what the future looks like and I just feel so awful for my kids. It feels like this is the last generation that will ever build wealth and opportunity in the US. I know a lot of us have this, well, it ain't gonna be me. Gonna get mine and get out. It just seems like we're building something that will never be attainable by our kids and grandkids. How can we teach our kids to achieve what we achieved when it's impossible for them? It feels like showing off the fruit from the last remaining tree you just cut down. X200B. Does anyone else agree, disagree? It reminds me of the late 70s and 80s. We never ever thought we would own a house. In the mid-90s we bought one. It's not capitalism if corporations get so big they can set prices and policy. We need to reissue some antitrust laws and break the big guys up. They want slaves, not thinkers. As a side note, own nothing and be happy is not capitalism. Quite the contrary. I feel up. I don't know how this works out. I thought I would never be able to buy a home. But in 2012, at the absolute bottom of the market, I was able to buy the perfect home for my family. It cost $200 more a month than my rent at the time. Now, the place I rented rents for $1,200 more than my mortgage. The point is to lock in your housing cost whether or not the house itself increases or decreased in value. You will eventually save thousands of dollars annually when your monthly housing cost is locked in for life. That's the point for me. And it's been a huge blessing. Keep saving what you can when you can. Because opportunity can knock on your door when you least expect it. So much pessimism going around. I'm actually surprised we haven't felt more pain from all the pandemic shenanigans. The Fed has managed to thread a needle so far, albeit from a problem they are largely responsible for. Obviously, we are in unprecedented times economically. Claimed by literally every generation since the origin of the word economics. Work hard and save. You'll be fine just like everybody else. Back in the day, one earner from a factory job could support the American dream. Today, it's two of those incomes or a very strong single income. The future? We'll need to be poly with multiple partners to afford that, or multiple families in one home. Population growth exceeds building resources. Even if landlords didn't scoop it all up, we'd inevitably land in this situation. There is a fair amount of Chicken Little emotion in this thread. I understand the shock of watching interest rates more than double in the last 3 years. But we are nowhere near record highs. And house purchasing survived the record highs of the 1970s. The market and home ownership will survive the crunch we're feeling now. 90 years ago, the U.S. was in a crippling economic depression. The country survived. And eventually home building and homeownership boomed. Things will get better and the housing market will stabilize again. Imagine how many times throughout history you could have written this exact same post word for word. Nobody can predict the future. We humans love to catastrophize. Agree, and I'm terrified for my grandkids. I agree, and it's depressing. Everyone who doesn't own a home always feels this way. It's almost like doubling the population of the country in 60 years would be bad for the people. Who the fuck knew? Capitalism is like a good old game of Texas Hold'em. Money exchanges hands often, but in the end, all the money goes towards one person. Or in our situation, one of people. If you really believe that, then save and invest well so that you can leave them enough of an inheritance that they can get a leg up. After scrimping, saving, and investing for years, my wife and I have been buying inexpensive starter homes in our area, fixing them up, and renting them out. When our children graduate from either college or a trade school, we plan to gift them each a house. The only reason we are in a position to do this is because our parents before us also did everything they could to give us a boost. It's your grandfather's fault then. I mean, this thought that somehow we're responsible for 50 years from now is stupid. What is the average person supposed to do to prevent the U.S. economy from going in a certain direction? BTW. There are plenty of homes in the U.S. that are very cheap average. The Midwest and South are filled with them. It's always darkest before the dawn. Hang in there. I know no one wants to hear this, but interest rates will be going lower. Probably a lot lower. Why? The U.S. debt, specifically interest on that huge mountain of money, is going to cost as much as the entire defense budget soon. Even raising taxes won't help. Rates will have to come down. Probably by some time next year, rates will start falling. Prices will probably fall a little too, making it a perfect time to buy. Everyone thinks it's the apocalypse until it isn't. 30 years of bust is not going to happen. Ride the wave. It'll be fine. Thank God I'm not having kids. It always seems that way when we are in the thick of it and prices and rates are out of control. But affordability goes up and down. I'd say that people will just have to save a little longer and wait to buy a house. But chances are someone will get into office with some new way to get more people to buy homes, causing prices to continue to balloon. I'm doing what I can to teach my kids how to thrive and use the system. Understand arbitrage, leverage, and investing, hoping some of it sticks. This is bullshit. If your kids are capable, they'll be fine. If they're not, they won't. You will own nothing and you will be happy. That's the agenda. I completely disagree, and you keep making excuses. Keep renting and see where you end up. You need to do a little more homework and also open your mind. When you buy a house using a mortgage, you do not actually own the house. The powers that be want to stay in power by holding everyone else down. Teach your kids to be curious and to question everything. Critical thought will be important. The American dream died the day the Federal Reserve was created, and its corpse mutilated the day we came off the gold standard. You're overthinking it, chief. Nobody build house so house expensive. Build house be rich. Children build house they rich too. Yes. The point is to make rich people richer and poor people poorer. The idea you can just obtain free capital and start buying property as if you deserve it is hilarious. Bro, prices will come down, don't worry. It seems impossible now because rates are so high, but that creates demand destruction. We're already seeing prices of rents and homes go down in many neighborhoods. It will continue as new builds hit the market and speculators need to start rapidly cutting. We're in a housing bubble. The UK, Germany, New Zealand, China are already correcting due to over-speculation. Well, people can still do what I did. Now this was in 2014, but our purchase was 30 acres on a LCOL area. Our kids can build out here. I'm a real estate agent, so I see it every day how affordability hurts the first-time buyers the most. It seems like we are just heading towards the own nothing and be happy stage. Always have been. At least some people are finally figuring it out. You will own nothing. You will live in the pod. You will eat the bugs. You will trans your kids. And you will be happy.